Stay with me. Do not go, the millionaire murmured, his voice warm with desire. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, it is free, and it is the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories like this one. Your support truly means the world to us. Where are you watching from today? Please drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us return to the main character. He is standing near the back of a small neighborhood coffee shop on the east side of Chicago, the kind of place people pass every morning without remembering the name. The windows are fogged from the cold outside. A handwritten sign on the counter says the restroom is out of order. The smell of burnt coffee and old pastries hangs in the air. The man waits quietly in line, hands in the pockets of a worn gray jacket. The sleeves are frayed at the cuffs. His shoes are scuffed, the soles uneven, as if he has walked many miles in them. No one looks at him twice. No one ever does when he dresses like this. His name, at least today, is Daniel. Daniel keeps his head slightly lowered, eyes observing everything. He notices how the woman in front of him counts her dollar bills twice before handing them to the cashier. He notices the older man at the corner table stirring the same cup of coffee for 10 minutes, lost in thought. He notices the silence between strangers, heavy but familiar. What no one here knows is that Daniel owns more buildings than this entire block. What no one knows is that his real life exists far above street level, behind glass walls and private elevators, where people smile too quickly and listen too carefully. But none of that matters right now, because today, Daniel is here for a reason. He steps forward when it is his turn. His voice is calm, polite, almost careful. "Just a small coffee, please," he says. The cashier nods, barely looking up. $2.80. Daniel reaches into his pocket and pauses. He knows exactly what is inside. A few crumpled bills, some loose change. Enough, but only just enough. He could pull out a credit card worth more than this entire shop. He does not. Instead, he places the bills on the counter, counting slowly, deliberately. 1, 2, a handful of coins. The cashier sighs, clearly impatient, and sweeps the money away. Behind Daniel, someone clears their throat. That is when he hears her voice. "Do you want me to get that for you?" Daniel turns slightly. She is standing a few feet behind him, holding a paper cup in one hand and a small canvas tote bag over her shoulder. She looks tired. Not the kind of tired that comes from one long night, but the kind that settles into a person after too many hard weeks. Her jacket is thin for the weather. Her hair is pulled back quickly, without care. Daniel hesitates. "It is fine," he says. "I have it." She gives a small smile. Not a polite one, a real one. "I know," she says gently. "I just mean, if you want something else. Food, maybe." For a moment, Daniel says nothing. This is the moment he always waits for. Not the reveal, not the shock. This. He studies her face, searching for calculation, curiosity, expectation. He finds none, only quiet concern. "I am fine," he repeats, softer this time. She nods, respecting the answer, and steps aside. No pressure, no judgment. The cashier places the coffee on the counter with a dull thud. Daniel picks it up, feeling the heat seep into his palm. As he turns away, their eyes meet again. And for reasons he cannot yet explain, Daniel feels something shift. Because for the first time in a very long time, someone saw him not as a name, not as a title, not as a fortune, but as a man standing in line, holding a cheap cup of coffee, trying to get through the day. And that, without him realizing it yet, is where everything begins. By the time Daniel leaves the coffee shop, the cold has sharpened. The wind cuts between buildings, pushing against him as he walks down the block, coffee cooling in his hand. But his thoughts stay behind, fixed on the woman with the tired eyes and the quiet smile. He does not follow her. He never does. This is not about pursuit. This is about observation. Her name, he will later learn, is Emily. Right now, Emily is already halfway down the street, moving fast, as if momentum itself is what keeps her standing. She checks the time on her phone and exhales sharply. She is late. Again, Emily works 2 part-time jobs, one at a grocery store in the mornings, unloading boxes and stocking shelves, another at a small diner in the evenings, where she smiles until her cheeks ache and pretends she does not notice the way people talk down to her when they think she needs the tips. Today, she has a third destination, a low brick building a few blocks away, with chipped paint and a flickering sign that reads, Community Employment Center. She has been here 3 times already this month. Inside, the air smells like old paper and burnt coffee. A bulletin board is covered in flyers. Temporary work, cleaning shifts, overnight security. None of them pay enough. All of them demand more hours than she has. Emily takes a number and sits down. As she waits, her mind drifts, unwillingly, to the things she tries not to think about. The rent notice folded in her bag. The voicemail from her mother last night, asking if she has found something stable yet. The doctor appointment she cancelled because even with insurance, the copay felt impossible. She presses her lips together and straightens her jacket. This is not where she thought she would be at 27. Emily used to believe that if she worked hard enough, stayed kind enough, something would eventually break in her favor. Lately, that belief feels thin, worn, like a thread pulled too many times. Her number is called. The woman behind the desk barely looks up as she explains that nothing new is available today. Maybe next week, maybe next month. Emily nods, thanks her, and walks back outside. The cold hits harder now. She pauses on the steps, adjusting the strap of her tote bag. Inside it are her lunch, a notebook filled with crossed-out budgets, and exactly $43 until next Friday. She does the math without meaning to. Groceries or gas, not both. As she starts walking again, her phone buzzes. A text from her landlord. Reminder, rent was due yesterday. Please advise. Emily stops. For a moment, she considers not replying, pretending she did not see it, but she types anyway, fingers slow. I am working on it. I just need a few more days. Vermeistungseited. She sends the message and stares at the screen, waiting for the 3 dots that never appear. Across town, Daniel sits in the back seat of a black sedan, jacket folded neatly beside him now. The city slides past the tinted windows, loud and distant. His assistant is speaking, reviewing meetings and numbers, but Daniel barely hears a word. Instead, he sees Emily standing at the counter. He hears her voice asking nothing of him, offering something anyway. He thinks of how easily people offer help when they expect something in return, and how rare it is when they do not. He sets his coffee down untouched. This is why he does this, he reminds himself. This is why he steps into places where no one knows his name. Because somewhere between desperation and dignity, between survival and kindness, people show you exactly who they are. And Emily, without knowing it, has already told him everything he needs to know. That evening, the temperature drops fast. By the time Emily finishes her shift at the diner, the sky has already gone dark, the streetlights buzzing faintly above the sidewalk. Her feet ache, her shoulders feel tight from carrying plates and carrying worries. She never speaks out loud. She pulls her jacket closer as she steps outside. The bus stop is half a block down, lit by a single flickering lamp. 2 people are already there, both staring at their phones, both standing far apart as if distance itself is protection. Emily checks her wallet while she walks. 1 bus ticket left. She exhales slowly. If she misses this one, she will have to walk home. Almost 3 miles. In the cold. When she reaches the stop, she notices him. The man from the coffee shop. He is standing near the bench, shoulders slightly hunched, hands shoved into the same worn grey jacket. He looks smaller out here, exposed under the streetlight. His gaze is fixed on the bus schedule posted on the pole, eyes narrowing as if he is trying to make sense of something that does not quite add up. Emily slows. She tells herself it is a coincidence. Chicago is big, but not that big. Still, something about seeing him again unsettles her. Not in a bad way, in a quiet way. The bus is late. 10 minutes pass, then 15. The other 2 people leave, one after another, calling for rides on their phones. Soon, it is just the 2 of them and the cold. Emily shifts her weight, rubbing her hands together. Daniel glances at her, then away, then back again. He hesitates, as if weighing something. "Excuse me," he says finally. His voice is low, careful. "Do you know if this bus still runs this late?" Emily nods. "It does. Sometimes it just takes its time." He lets out a short breath. "That is good. Take." There is a pause. Then he adds, almost reluctantly, "I might be short for the fare." Emily looks at him. There is no drama in his voice, no exaggeration. Just a simple statement, delivered with quiet embarrassment. She thinks of her wallet, of her last ticket, of the walk home if she gives it up. For a brief moment, she does nothing. This is the moment that matters. She could look away, Pretend she did not hear. Protect herself. No one would blame her. She has already given enough today. But she remembers his face at the coffee counter. The way he had tried to refuse help, not ask for it. Emily reaches into her bag. She pulls out the bus ticket and holds it between her fingers. It feels heavier than it should. "You can have mine," she says. Daniel blinks. "Are you sure?" She nods. "I can walk if I have to." He does not take it right away. "You do not have to do that," he says. "I know," she replies. "I want to. Because they want a see so in the past days." Finally, he accepts it, carefully, as if it is something fragile. "Thank you," he says. And this time, there is something in his voice that makes Emily look up, not relief, respect. The bus pulls up moments later, hissing as it stops. The doors open. Daniel steps on first, then turns back. "You are not coming?" he asks. Emily shakes her head, already stepping back. "I will be fine." The doors close. The bus pulls away. Emily watches it disappear down the street, the cold settling deeper into her bones. She does not know that Daniel remains standing near the front, ticket untouched in his hand, heart pounding harder than it has in years. Because this was never about the bus. This was about choice. And Emily, with almost nothing left to give, gave anyway. The walk home is longer than Emily expects. The cold creeps in slowly, first into her fingers, then her toes, then deeper, settling into her joints. She keeps her head down, breath visible in short bursts, counting blocks the way she always does when the distance feels heavy. One block, then another. She tells herself not to think about the bus pulling away, about the warmth she gave up, about the ticket that could have saved her 30 minutes, and a little strength she does not have to spare. She does not regret it. That surprises her. By the time she reaches her apartment building, her legs are stiff and her hands are numb. The building is old, the kind that creaks in the wind, with a front door that sticks unless you pull just right. She fumbles with her keys, finally forcing the door open and stepping into the dim hallway. Inside her small studio, the heater rattles weakly, doing more noise than work. Emily drops her bag by the door and sinks onto the edge of the bed. Rubbing her hands together, she exhales. Another day survived. She pulls off her shoes and reaches into her tote bag. Habit more than intention. Her fingers brush against paper. She pauses, then pulls it out. The notebook. She flips it open to a page filled with numbers, scratched out and rewritten. Rent, utilities, food, gas. Each line feels like a quiet accusation. Emily stares at it for a moment, then closes the notebook and sets it aside. She stands and pours herself a glass of water from the tap. The sound echoes in the small room. As she drinks, her phone buzzes again. No reply from her landlord. She places the phone face down on the counter. Across the city, Daniel sits alone in the back of his penthouse. Lights low, the city glowing beneath the floor-to-ceiling windows. The jacket from earlier hangs over the back of a chair. In his hand is the bus ticket. Emily's bus ticket. It is worn at the edges, creased once down the middle. A simple piece of paper, worth a few dollars at most. And yet, Daniel turns it over slowly, studying it as if it holds a secret. People have given him things before. Gifts, favors, praise. None of it ever stayed with him. This does. He thinks of the way she handed it to him. No hesitation in her voice, even if there was weight in the choice. No expectation that he would repay her. No attempt to make herself look good. She had simply decided. Daniel sets the ticket down on the table, carefully flattening it with his fingers. He has a habit of collecting things that matter, not expensive things, honest ones. This ticket becomes one of them. The next morning, Emily wakes before her alarm. The sky outside her window is still grey, the city quiet in that brief moment before everyone starts moving again. She dresses quickly, pulling on her jacket, tying her hair back. As she reaches for her bag, her eyes land on the empty spot where the bus ticket should be. She pauses, then she smiles faintly. She tells herself it is nothing, just another small sacrifice in a long line of them. She has made worse ones. As she steps outside, she does not know that somewhere across the city, a man with everything has chosen to hold on to the one thing she gave away without a second thought. A small piece of paper, a quiet act, a seed planted, waiting for the moment it will return. 3 days pass. For Emily, they pass slowly, measured in early mornings and late nights, in coffee refills and aching feet. Nothing improves, nothing collapses either. Life simply keeps moving forward, indifferent to effort. On the 4th morning, she receives an email from the Community Employment Center. An interview, not a promise, not a job, just an interview. The location listed is downtown, in a building she has never been inside before. The name at the top of the email means nothing to her. Carter Foundation. Emily reads it twice to be sure it is real. She borrows a blouse from a co-worker at the diner, one that fits a little too tightly at the shoulders. She irons it carefully, taking more time than necessary. She tells herself not to expect anything. Hope has learned to be quiet. The lobby of the building is warm and bright, all glass and polished stone. Emily feels out of place the moment she steps inside. Her shoes echo softly against the floor. The receptionist greets her with a practiced smile and asks her to sign in. Please have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly. Emily nods and sits. The room is filled with people who look prepared, confident. She folds her hands in her lap, grounding herself, reminding herself that she belongs wherever she chooses to stand. A door opens. A man steps out, speaking to someone beside him. His voice is familiar. Emily looks up. Her breath catches. It is him, the man from the coffee shop, the bus stop. The worn grey jacket replaced now by a tailored coat, dark and clean, fitting him perfectly. His posture is different, straighter, still calm, but unmistakably assured. For a moment, Emily wonders if she is imagining things. Then his eyes meet hers. Recognition flashes across his face, subtle, controlled, real. He stops. Emily, he says. She rises slowly from her chair. Do I know you? A flicker of something like a smile crosses his lips. We have met, he replies. A few times. The receptionist looks between them, confused. Daniel turns slightly. She is with me, he says gently. Emily follows him down a quiet hallway, heart racing, mind struggling to keep up. Everything feels wrong and right at the same time. Inside a small conference room, Daniel closes the door. He does not sit. Please, he says. I want to explain. Emily crosses her arms, not defensively, but protectively. I thought you said you were short on bus fare. I was, he replies honestly. She studies him, searching for a crack in the story. And now you work here? Yes. There is a pause. Then he continues, voice steady. My name is Daniel Carter. I am the founder of the Carter Foundation. The words land heavily. Emily exhales, disbelief written plainly across her face. You are saying you own this place? I do. Silence fills the room. She shakes her head once, trying to process the shift. Why would you pretend to be someone else? Daniel does not answer right away. Because people treat you differently when they know, he says finally. And I needed to remember what it feels like when they do not. Emily thinks of the bus ticket, of the coffee shop, of the cold night she walked home. So this was a test, she says quietly. No, Daniel answers quickly. Not a test, as a digitator. He reaches into his coat pocket and pulls something out, placing it on the table between them. The bus ticket. Emily stares at it. This, he says softly, was a choice. Yours. And it mattered more than you know. She does not know what to say. Neither of them does. Outside the room, the foundation hums with purpose. Inside, something fragile and important hangs between them, waiting for its meaning to be decided. The room feels smaller now. Emily remains standing, eyes fixed on the bus ticket lying between them. The thin piece of paper suddenly carries too much weight. Her chest tightens, a mix of disbelief and something sharper, something closer to hurt. You followed me, she says quietly. Daniel shakes his head at once. No, I did not. She looks up, searching his face. Then how did I end up here? He takes a slow breath. The foundation partners with the employment center you visited. When your application came through, I recognized your name. I asked to meet you. Emily lets out a short, humorless laugh. So you recognized me, but I did not recognize you. That was never my intention, Daniel says. I did not plan for us to meet again like this. But you did not stop it either, she replies. Silence stretches between them. Emily turns away, walking a few steps toward the window. The city below looks different from this height. Smaller, easier, somehow. I walked home that night, she says, voice steady but distant. Almost 3 miles. I was tired, cold. Daniel nods once. I know. That answer makes her turn back sharply. You know? I stayed on the bus, he admits. I did not use the ticket. I could not. Her hands curl into fists at her sides. Do you hear yourself? I do, he says softly. And I understand how this looks. Do you? Emily asks. Because right now it feels like everything was a lie. He said. Daniel steps closer, careful not to crowd her. What happened at the bus stop was real. I did not ask for your help because of who I am. I asked because I needed it. And the rest, she presses. The coffee shop, the jacket, the silence. All real, he says without hesitation. I hid my name, not my character. Emily shakes her head slowly. You still let me believe you were struggling. I was, Daniel replies, just not in the way you thought. Minus. The words hang in the air, heavy and imperfect. She looks down again at the bus ticket. You could have told me, she says. At any point. Yes, he agrees. And if I had, you would have treated me differently. Everyone does. Emily meets his gaze. You do not get to decide that for me. Daniel does not argue. That is fair, he says, and that is why I am not asking for forgiveness. Only honesty. He reaches into his pocket again, this time pulling out a simple business card. No gold lettering, no unnecessary titles. My number, he says. Use it or do not. This interview, this opportunity, it stands on its own, regardless of how you feel about me. Emily studies the card but does not take it. So what now? She asks. Now, Daniel says, you decide whether what you did came from who you are, or whether what I hid erases that. She exhales slowly, shoulders dropping just a little. I need time, she says. Daniel nods. Take it. Massus. As she turns toward the door, Emily pauses. For what it is worth, she adds without looking back, I would have helped you anyway. The door closes behind her. Daniel remains standing, alone in the quiet room, staring at the empty space where she stood, knowing that the hardest part of being seen is accepting when someone chooses to walk away. Emily does not sleep well that night. She lies awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment the bus ticket touched the table, the way Daniel had looked at her, not triumphant, not proud, almost afraid. By morning, she is exhausted. She goes to work anyway. At the grocery store, she moves through the aisles on autopilot, stacking cans, straightening labels. Her manager speaks to her twice. She hears neither time. Her thoughts keep circling the same question, again and again. Did I earn that opportunity, or was it handed to me? At lunch, she sits alone in the break room, scrolling through her phone. There is a message from an unfamiliar number. She does not open it. She knows who it is from. Across town, Daniel stands in a conference room filled with board members and advisors. They are discussing quarterly reports, outreach numbers, expansion plans. He answers when spoken to, but his mind is elsewhere. This part is always harder than the reveal, because money is easy, power is easy, trust is not. That afternoon, Emily receives another email from the Carter Foundation, a formal interview invitation, date, time, location, clear and professional. No personal message attached. She stares at the screen for a long time. At the diner that evening, Emily nearly drops a tray when a customer snaps his fingers at her. She apologizes out of habit, though she knows she did nothing wrong. When she steps into the kitchen, her hands are shaking. Her coworker notices. You okay? Emily nods automatically. Just tired. But it is not tiredness. It is fear. Fear that if she accepts this opportunity, people will assume the worst. That she took a shortcut. That she was chosen because of a moment of pity, not because of who she is. After her shift, she walks instead of taking the bus, needing the cold air to clear her head. Halfway home, she stops. She takes out her phone, and finally, she opens the message. I meant what I said. The offer stands, with or without me. You do not owe me anything. Emily exhales. That is what unsettles her the most. He is not pushing. The interview day arrives. Emily stands outside the building, hands clasped tightly around her bag. For a moment, she considers turning around. No one would stop her. Then she thinks of the nights she walked home, the bills, the choices she made when no one was watching. She walks inside. The interview panel does not include Daniel. They ask her about her work history, her challenges, her ideas. Emily answers honestly. She speaks about people she sees every day, about gaps in systems, about dignity. She does not mention the bus ticket. When it is over, she leaves with no sense of how it went. 3 days later, the call comes. An offer. Not charity. A job, with a living wage. Emily sits on the edge of her bed, phone pressed to her ear, heart pounding. When the call ends, she does not cry. She does not celebrate. She feels something steadier. Later that night, she texts Daniel, "I got the job. I want you to know, I would have taken it even if I never met you." The reply comes quickly, "That is exactly why you deserve it." Emily looks at the screen for a long moment. For the first time since the bus stop, she does not feel small. She feels seen. Emily's life begins to change quietly. Not all at once, not like a miracle, but in small, steady ways that feel real. Her new job at the Carter Foundation starts with orientation and long days of learning names, systems, and expectations. She works in community outreach, the part of the foundation that listens more than it speaks. She takes notes, she asks questions, she pays attention. And people notice. They notice how she remembers faces, how she stays late to help without being asked, how she speaks to everyone the same way, whether they are executives or clients waiting in folding chairs. Daniel watches from a distance. He does not interfere. He does not guide her path. He only makes sure the door stays open. Weeks pass. One evening, after a long day, Emily stays behind to help organize supplies for a mobile food distribution event the foundation is launching. She stacks boxes, wipes tables, moves chairs. By the time she finishes, the office is nearly empty. Daniel steps into the room quietly. "You did not have to stay," he says. Emily turns, surprised but not startled. "I wanted to." They stand there for a moment, the hum of the building filling the space between them. "The program was your idea," Daniel says. "The mobile route, the timing, the partnerships." Emily shrugs slightly. "I just talked about what I saw." "That is exactly why it works," he replies. She looks around at the boxes, the maps taped to the wall. "I never thought I would be here," she admits. "I thought helping people meant choosing between myself and everyone else." "Too would." Daniel considers that. And now I see it does not have to," she says. He nods. There is something different in the air tonight. Lighter, less guarded. Daniel reaches into his jacket pocket. Emily notices immediately. "No," she says gently, before he can speak. "If this is about paying me back, I do not want it." He smiles, small and sincere. "It is not." He places something on the table between them, the bus ticket. Emily stares at it, recognition flickering across her face. "You kept it," she says. "I did," Daniel replies. "I told myself I would return it when it mattered." She looks up at him. "And now it does?" "Yes." Emily picks it up, turning it over slowly. The paper is worn, but intact, just like the choice it represents. "I do not need this anymore," she says softly. "I know," Daniel answers. "That is why I am giving it back." She studies him for a moment, then nods. They step outside together. The night is cool but calm, the city glowing around them. At the corner, a bus pulls up, brakes hissing. Emily stops. Daniel does too. "Stay with me," he says quietly. "Do not go." She looks at him, really looks at him, seeing not the billionaire, not the man from the bus stop, but the person who learned to listen. "I am not going," she replies. The bus pulls away without them, and for the first time, the kindness that once left her walking home in the cold has come full circle, returned not as charity, but as choice, respect, and something that feels very much like love. The months that follow do not turn into a fairy tale overnight. They turn into something better. Emily settles into her role at the Carter Foundation with a quiet confidence that surprises even her. She moves through meetings without shrinking. She speaks when it matters. She listens when it matters more. The programs she helped shape begin to grow, reaching neighborhoods she once walked through carrying exhaustion and hope in equal measure. Daniel does not announce his feelings. He does not rush her. He lets time do what money never could. They start with coffee. Real coffee this time, at the same small shop on the east side of Chicago. The same counter, the same smell of burnt beans. Only now, they sit together. People do not recognize him. No one stares. No one whispers. Emily notices how relaxed he seems there. "You are different here," she tells him one morning. Daniel smiles. "This is where I remember who I am." Their relationship unfolds in quiet moments. Shared meals after long days. Late conversations about work, about childhoods, about fears neither of them ever had the luxury to voice before. One evening, as winter gives way to spring, the foundation hosts a community event. Folding chairs line a gymnasium. Children run between tables. Volunteers laugh as they work. Emily stands near the back, watching it all with a fullness in her chest she cannot name. Daniel joins her. "This started with you," he says softly. She shakes her head. It started with a choice. He reaches into his pocket and pulls something out. Not a ring. The bus ticket. Emily laughs quietly. You really cannot let that go. I do not want to, Daniel replies, because it reminds me of the moment everything changed. Ideas. He holds it out to her one last time. I need you to know, he says, voice steady but sincere, that loving you was never about what you gave me that night. It was about who you were when no one was watching. Emily takes the ticket, then folds it carefully and slips it into her bag. She looks up at him, eyes clear. And I need you to know, she says, that staying was my choice, not because of what you have, but because of what you did not hide. He's go it. Into stake two. They stand there as the room hums around them. No spotlight, no applause. Just two people who met at the lowest level of truth and chose to build from there. Later that night, as they walk outside together, the city lights stretching endlessly ahead, Daniel stops. Stay with me, he says again softly. Do not go. Emily smiles, taking his hand. I am already here, she replies. The bus passes them by, just as it once did. But this time, no one is left in the cold. Because the greatest wealth either of them will ever know is not measured in buildings or bank accounts, but in the simple, powerful certainty that kindness given freely always finds its way home. And sometimes it brings love with it.